Okay. We on. We on it cracking. Shalom, shalom. Mishpaha Wahabarim on Shalom Weberachot, Mishpaha Wahabarim. Peace and blessings to the family and friends out there. It's your girl 916 Shan or Ashanti and this brother BA.
How you doing, brother B.A. Ben Abraham? Glad to be here on the Sabbath, and we're gonna get together and go into the Torah portion for the week, and we're gonna most definitely, most high willing that we be blessed and be edified by His word.
No doubt. So we're just gonna give some people some time to get into the live link here, and you might hear some silence for a hot second, but let us know your feedback on the microphone situation. We're hooked up to headsets this time, so we can have the microphone volume go directly into the device. That way, it sounds a little better. It eliminates any outside static and hollow noises, things like that. So just let us know how the volume is and things like that. If you can hear us clear or not, right?
Most definitely, let us know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, everybody's week wasn't overly stressful.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know a lot of us are sick.
yeah, man.
Please pray for the sick.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We have our Sabbath classes in our group, and everybody's under the weather, so we most definitely can relate and understand. So
Right. Yeah, we're gonna check some things here before we get started.
yeah, I like this Greek Septuagint. I like it. You see how it preserves. You can see the style of Greek and how it tries to preserve the Hebrew.
Take that off there. Okay, so okay. Oh, you talking about the Greek?
Yeah,
You like that Septuagint?
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see here.
We live, right?
Oh yeah, we definitely
Okay,
live.
I'm going to send the link out now.
Okay.
Hopefully it
I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up your YouTube
Yep, for
because
sure.
I am subscribed to you, BA.
For sure. Yep. Dang, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we
Oh,
just do
no
each other
doubt.
like that. You
Oh
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Okay, so let's not have a bunch of dead air. Let me see if we can hear each other. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
All right. So BA, say something for me real quick.
Yes. What's good? Oh, that's mine.
Oh,
Huh,
shalom, moms.
that's my rhyme. Yeah, that's my rhyme. Oh wow. All right, for sure. Come on, phone.
He's that's moms right there.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, moms, joining in. You know what I mean? We appreciate the encouragement. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the love. Most definitely. We all need each other. We all want that encouragement, that impression upon us to do better and be better. So
Yeah, just getting everybody. We sending everybody the link,
okay.
and
You still sending people the link to
yeah,
get
my
on?
my phone
Okay.
froze.
The
My phone
froze?
froze up,
Ooh
man.
wee.
Oh, you know technology, bro.
Technology. Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, more.
All right. While we're still sending out the links for people,
All right, just
real
went up.
quick, we're gonna be doing this week's Torah portion. It's called Vaeira or Vaeira. That means and he appeared. It's gonna be starting from Exodus chapter 6, and we're gonna go over some passages from Exodus chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the Torah portions. We're gonna start incorporating that more, but we're gonna give you an overview of what we're doing, why we're doing that, and things of that nature. But let's do everything decent and in order. So you want to go ahead and get started, BA?
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
All right. So we're gonna read the
You
read
want
the
me to
Shema,
you
then we're
want to
gonna
read it
have
in
a
Hebrew, or
word of prayer.
want me to read it? You read it in Hebrew, and I read it. How you want to do it?
Sure. I'll do that.
All right. For
Uh,
those who are not familiar with the Shema, It's Deuteronomy chapter 6,
Verses 4 to
verses 4
6.
through 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 6. If you're not familiar with the Shema, Shema just means to hear and do, or hear and obey, rather.
All right, so let me get to it. Sorry, I got a message here. All right. All right, Deuteronomy 6, verses 4 through 6. Give me a hot second to get there. Let's see. All right. And it reads, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. That is, hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh is one. ואהבת את יהוה אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. And I'll save the rest for Brother BA to put into English. One more verse. One more verse. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך.
Amen. We're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 4. Now we're going to read in English.
Right
It
on.
reads, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And we
Mhm.
know, understand the one in the translated from the Hebrew means to be united. The Hebrew word is akkad.
Uh-huh.
So when it says one, it's not literally meaning that he is one. He is one, but there is some substance to what it means to him being one. He's united. Akkad means to be united. Verse 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
Mm.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart. Verse 7 too?
No, that's it.
Okay, for sure.
Well, may the
Yeah.
Most High add a
Add
blessing to the readers, hearers, and most of all, doers
Yes, sir. Yes.
of His Word. All right. So, Vaeira, Exodus chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9, BA. And the reason why we're going to start incorporating the Torah portions is because it causes us and allows us to be able to go through the whole Torah, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, in a whole year. And a lot of the times we talk about the Torah as the commandments or the teachings and instructions of the Most High Yahweh. However, a lot of the times people think they are a bunch of do's and don'ts. The Torah portions allow us to go through the first 5 books of the Bible so that we can see exactly why the Father gave us certain instructions and teachings as they came along.
Exactly.
And we're going to see specifically what the teachings or instructions are a part of. And pretty much they are a part of the stipulations of a marriage covenant, a marriage agreement.
Exactly.
Right? And so this Torah portion, we're actually going to be doing some catching up.
Yeah.
So we're coming in like the middle, the beginning. Shalom, Brother Yochanan. Glad to have you here with us.
Yo, what's going on, Art?
Yeah, glad to have you here with us. So the Torah portions are going to give us a greater understanding of why the Father gave us these teachings, when, and how they are implemented, and how they are to be applied to our life. You get a greater understanding of the whole context of where the teachings or instructions lie.
Exactly.
So anything you want to bring out or expand on, BA?
We're going to go into Exodus. And before we get into Exodus chapter 6, that's what we're going to deal with today. We want to do a quick overview of what's going on from Exodus chapter 1 to chapter 5.
Right.
And what we see here is Moses. He was in Egypt for a time, some say 40 years. And now he's come to realize that, well, he always knew he was Israel. So now that he left, he fled Egypt, and he's on his way to the wilderness. And the Most High is pretty much, this is part of the Most High's plan, because he's going to use Moses. On his way to the wilderness, Moses shows his character, he shows that he has a character that the Most High is going to use. They're going to need to use him because we see, I think it's in Exodus chapter 2 when he saves the women who are being oppressed by the men who were trying to steal from them. And Moses, he goes on defense and he saves these women.
Uh-huh.
And on his way to that, he meets Jethro, I believe. And he lives in Jethro's house, marries his daughter.
Uh-huh.
And from there, he's getting ready. The Most High is cleaning him. He's purging him out because he's going to be used. The Most High is going to use him as his deliverer to free his people, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he's going to send Moses and use him as a vessel. And one thing about it is just to kind of slightly get off topic. The Most High has always used individuals to do his pleasure,
Hallelujah.
his will. So we have to stress this. No matter what side of the book you subscribe to, you have to agree and you have to know that the Most High uses whoever he chooses to. And he chose Moses because Moses was a man of integrity, a man of justice, and the Most High. And for who are we to say the Most High didn't see something in Moses? Who are we to say that? So there was something about Moses that the supreme natural force known as Yahweh understood and resonated with. So he's going to now bring that out and let that manifest. And we're going to go from there. If you want to.
Yeah, I do want to bring something out also. You stated that Moses or Moshe is in Midian and he meets the Midianite priest Yithro and he marries his daughter. Moses went to Midian to flee because he had killed one of the Egyptians that was oppressing. He killed one of the Egyptians that was oppressing one of his Hebrew brethren.
Yeah.
Was Moses born for this purpose? Definitely, yeah. Moses definitely was born for this purpose, and Moses is a prototype. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly, and that's a great question because this leads into what I'm about to say.
Exactly.
Moses is definitely a prototype. We always talk about Yeshua or Jesus the Christ is that prophet like unto Moses. Now, we're going to see some parallels between Moses and Yeshua the Christ, Jesus the Christ, right?
Exactly.
And one of the parallels here is that Moses fled because somebody sought to seek his life. Pharaoh sought to seek his life to kill him. So Moses had to flee, right?
You had to.
And he fled. We're going to see here, and I'm going to elaborate. He fled for 60 years because he was 80 years old when he went back to deliver the children out of Egypt, right? Moses did not get called back to Egypt to deliver the children of Israel until until the people who sought his life were dead.
Yeah.
So there was another Pharaoh who rose. This Pharaoh who rose did not know. So now Moses can go back because this is a new Pharaoh. This is not the Pharaoh that sought to seek his life to kill him.
And it's a generation who's not familiar with Moses.
Correct.
It's not like the movie.
Correct.
At all.
Right. And so Yeshua, when Yeshua was born, he was sent to where? He was sent to Egypt to hide. Because the king, the Roman imperialist king, was seeking his life to kill him, right? But then Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, got called out of Egypt to go back to do the task at hand, which is to save the lost sheep of Israel, right? But he couldn't go back until when? Until that king or that generation or that person who was seeking his life was dead. So now you see that parallel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And this is something just to add.
Yeah.
Notice that in the days of the Messiah or Christ, Rome was in control.
Come on.
So back in this time, Rome was known for writing things on record and document. And a lot of people say, well, how we know Christ existed? Well, look, he wasn't around to be documented. As far as in Jerusalem at that time, he had to go to Egypt. If they would have kept him on record, then they would have kind of had a good idea. Not saying they would have knew he was the Messiah, but they would have been able to keep up with him to pay taxes and things of that nature. Because we cannot read in the text when the Messiah paid taxes. We can't read that at all. He was off the grid.
Dang, that's a good.
That's what Bart heard.
So Moses has been prepared by the Most High Yahweh to deliver the children up out of Egypt. He showed them the signs and the wonders that he's going to do. He says, "I'm going to be with you." He the Most High Yahweh tells Moses, like, you might have a speech impediment, or you might not know the language of the Egyptians, but I'm gonna have your brother Aaron be a spokesperson for you. And we're also going to talk about power and authority. A lot of people think power and authority is the same thing, but power and authority are very different, and we're going to explain that. And it goes along with text.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So let's see. All right. So Exodus 6.
Exodus chapter 6.
Yeah, Exodus chapter 6. So, Brother B.A., let's start at Exodus chapter 6. We're going to read verses 2 through 8, please.
2 through 8.
Yeah.
Exodus chapter 6, 2 through 8, and I'm reading from the Greek Septuagint. And it reads, "And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord, and I appeared to Abram, Isaac, and Jacob, being their God. But I did not manifest to them by my name, which is Yahweh or Jehovah, or the various other names that we may tend to call them," right? And there's a reason why. We're going to touch on that in a little bit. Verse 4, "And I established my covenant with them to give them the land of the Canaanites, and the land wherein they sojourned, in which also they dwelt as they sojourned in in which also they dwelt as strangers. And I hearkened to the groaning of the children of Israel, the affliction with which the Egyptians enslaved them. And I remembered the covenant with you." We keep going to 8, right?
Yes, go to verse 8.
Verse 6. "Go speak to the children of Israel, saying, I am the Lord, or I am Jehovah, or I am Yahweh, or whatever you prefer to call him. And I will lead you forth from the tyranny of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from bondage, and I will ransom you with a high arm and great judgment. And I will take you to me a people for myself, and will be your God, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out from tyranny of the Egyptians." Verse 8. "And I will bring you into the land concerning which I stretch out my hand to give it to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and I will give it to you for an inheritance. I am Yahweh, or the Lord, or God, or Jehovah."
Now, I want to bring out a few things, and BA, feel free to jump in, of course. In verse 3, it says, "And I appeared," Vaeira, right? That's where you get the Vaeira. "I appeared to Abraham, El Yitzhak, El Yaakov, to Isaac and to Jacob as El Shaddai, as this Almighty." Now, this Almighty, that's the power. That's the power, BA. "And by my name, Yahweh, was I not known to them?" Yahweh, we're going to show that Yahweh, that name, that's the what? Authority. Reputation and character. Now you see,
we're gonna go deep into that.
Right now, all through this, I'm gonna be bringing out and making sure we understand the concepts of power and authority. Exactly. They work one with the other. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. They both have a part to play.
Both have a part to play. Okay, so now, the Father says he established his covenant. He established this agreement, this promise to be their power, to be their deity. That's what God or Elohim means. God or Elohim means that power, that energy, that force. Okay? Now, verse 6. Watch this, VA. Verse 6. 4 things. Notice 4 things. The Father says he's going to bring you out from the burdens of the Mizraim. He's going to deliver you from enslaving, right? He's going to redeem you. Number 3, he's going to redeem you. That means buy you back. And number 4, he's going to take you as his people. 4 things. Now, this is a little bit of rabbinic commentary. Now, the thing about rabbinic commentary is it's great for historical references at times. I don't I don't follow Judaism, meaning I don't follow all the traditions of the rabbis and sages, but it's good to go back into history and see what it is that they taught. Okay, so Four things. You
Mhm.
notice that. That's what the Father said. He gonna do four things.
Mhm.
And this is why in the Passover Seder we drink 4 cups of wine.
Mm. That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So the Father, He's promising these four things. These four things of they're all uh, um, elements of redemption. This is what He's
Deliverance.
gonna do.
Exactly.
And when the Father said He's gonna do something, guess what? It's gonna come to fruition. Right? So that's what I wanted to bring out. Anything you want to stress, BA?
I've stressed this before in the past, and this is for those who like to have issues with the name.
Mm.
Uh, let's go to it. Now we're staying in Exodus chapter 6. Let's look at verse 3.
Okay.
And I appeared unto Abraham. I'm reading from the King James. And I appeared unto Abraham. I'm sorry. And I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by the name of God Almighty, or El Shaddai, or Mighty God, those various titles. But he's telling you what he is.
Mm.
It's not necessarily his literal name. He's just telling you, I'm mighty, I'm God, I'm all being, I'm powerful,
Mm.
right? And he says, but my name Jehovah,
Mm.
or Yahweh, or Yohe, or Yahweh, or Yehuda, whichever you prefer,
Mhm.
right? Was I not known to them? So there's a reason why the Most High is stressing this. And I have also, verse 4, and I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan,
Mhm.
the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers.
Mm.
So what the Most High is doing here, he's revealing his literal name for a reason,
He's
because
his authority.
his authority. And there's
Come on,
something that's
BA.
going to take place when he reveals his name.
Mhm.
You got to remember, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were not in captivity.
Mm. Come on,
Their
BA.
descendants right now, they are in captivity.
Mhm.
So what does this mean? He's revealing Yahweh or Jehovah, because I'm going to do something.
Come on.
I'm going to, because the Spirit manifests through action.
Come on.
Again, we're in this community of Hebrews, and for some reason, we're still having issues with the Spirit. We're having issues with it. We are applying our fleshly, Western, Hellenized view
Mm.
to this eternal force, this supernatural power
Mm.
that existed before existence itself.
Mm.
We still put limits on the Most High.
Mm.
This powerful force is telling Moses, I am Yahweh. And when I tell you that, when my name is being told to you, there is a reason.
Mm.
Let's go to it again. Now let's look at verse 5.
Mhm.
Now I've also heard the groanings of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians kept in bondage, or keep in bondage.
Mm.
And I have remembered my covenant. Verse 6. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm, and with great judgments. So when he says, I am Yahweh, he is telling you the name is great, and I'm going to do something.
I'm gonna exhibit this authority
Exactly.
because in order to bring a people out from such people as Pharaoh, right?
Exactly.
You have to have some sort of legal premise to do it. You have to have
Exactly.
some sort of legal right. That's the
Exactly.
authority.
And it's power, power in it.
It's right.
Because he wants the children of Israel to know, when you hear this name,
Woo.
there is substance behind it. So let's say if you say Jehovah, or Yehuda, or Yahweh, or Yahweh, but whatever, you better know that when that name is spoken and when it comes out of your mouth, you better know what it stands for.
Mhm.
That this name is powerful and it has substance and authority and much character to it. So when you reveal this name, whichever you prefer to pronounce,
Mhm.
something has to happen. So
Mhm.
when you come in that name, make sure that you are operating properly.
Mhm.
When you're politicking and debating over it, make sure you understand and recognize the authority and the power behind it.
Mhm.
That this name is all about taking action.
Mhm.
He's going to reveal himself, and I'm going to free the people from their captivity. Just like today, when you reveal this name, you're taking the people out of that Hellenized state, because this name is great. You know the name and the authority, and guess what? I'm going to deliver you from your mental slavery.
Mm.
It's not bound to just the physical slavery here. This is an eternal name.
Mm.
This name will be known throughout all generations of Israel. And you go ahead, sis. I just want to stay
No,
quick.
this is beautiful. All right. Let's read. Um. Let's read verse 13 just for a hot second, real
Verse
quick.
13. I'm
Uh
reading from
huh.
King James, and it reads,
Mhm.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Israel, and unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Read verse 14.
Verse 14. And these be the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanok, Palu,
Mhm.
Herizon, Carmi. These be the families of Reuben.
All right. So what's happening is uh the heads. We're establishing a legal authority. The
Exactly.
legal authority. And I was gonna say power and authority. It is different. So power means the ability or potential of an individual to influence others and control their actions. And then authority is the legal and formal right to give orders and commands and take decisions, and that's known as authority, right?
Exactly.
So what's being established when the father's talking about the heads of their father's houses, right? We're establishing who has the authority to go ahead and do these legal matters. So skip down and read verses 19 and 20, BA.
Verse 19, Exodus chapter 6.
Uh huh.
And the sons of Merari, Mahal,
Molly. Mhm.
and Mushi, these are the families of Levi according to their generations. And Aram took him Jochebed, his father's sister, to wife, and she bare him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Aram were 137
Now
years.
pause right there. I wanted to bring up these two verses because these establish who has the authority to go in and be the representative of the authority of the Most High Yahweh.
Mhm.
The Levites, right? The Levites according to their generation. So it's pretty much starting from verses 14 all the way down, um, all the way down to verse 25, right?
Mhm.
So real quick, Jochebed. Amram took Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife. She bore him Aaron and Moshe. So Aaron and Moshe, they are Levites.
Yep.
They are born from this woman named Jochebed. Now,
Mhm.
Amram and Jochebed. If you go to the book of Joshua, the book
Mhm.
of the upright, mentioned in the what is it, First Samuel,
Yep. It is mentioned in the text. It is.
and mentioned in the book of Joshua.
Mhm.
Miriam, Moses and Aaron's sister, Miriam prophesied that her father,
Oh yeah.
Amram,
What's gonna happen? Yep.
and her sister and her mother Jochebed were going to have Moses birth through them.
Mhm.
Now, at the time, Amram and Jochebed were not together because there was a decree that the first Pharaoh laid out was that all the Hebrew boys, when they were born,
Yeah,
they were to be killed.
that ancient
So
abortion. Yeah.
so a lot of men did not want to even be married to their wives. You know what I'm saying?
Because
Because
of the, yeah, that law went out.
right.
Yeah.
And from marriage, seed can be produced, of course. So Amram was like, well, shoot, I'm just not going to be with my wife then,
Mhm.
if there's a possibility of a seed to come out. But Miriam prophesied, say, hey, there's going to be a deliverer
Mhm.
to come through you. So Amram went and took Jochebed back, and Jochebed conceived.
Yeah, and just to interject real quick. Now, a lot of people have an issue with the Book of Jasher,
Mm.
but let's just, for the sake of argument, just say we look at it to be valid in a sense, and we do. But just for the people, if she was willing, if Miriam came out and prophesied and said that the deliverer of Israel was going to come out through your loins, father, or whoever she was talking to, do you think the Most High was the one that gave it to her?
Ooh-wee.
Because this is the problem
Mm.
with the Hebrew chauvinistic way of thinking,
Mm.
that the Most High don't talk to women.
Mm.
And I've gotten to a point to where I am ashamed to even associate myself with individuals at one time. They think that the Most High just has, they make him out to be a tyrant,
Mm.
no good thug, mafia boss, Negro in the streets.
Mm.
And that is not. The Messiah said himself, the flesh profit nothing.
Mm.
It's the spirit that gives life. And the spirit spoke to Miriam and told her mother and father,
He told her father.
her father rather, that A, Pops, deliver coming out of you.
That's right.
That's life.
And he didn't tell her to shut up, go somewhere and sit
Yeah.
down and be
Oh,
quiet.
I gotta go. I gotta go talk to the elder and come on, man.
Right.
Seriously, let's make sense out this word. Let's make
Yes.
sense.
Yes. He heeded the prophecy of his daughter. The prophecy is the authority. That's the mouthpiece. That's the spokesperson. Come on. And the power is the Most High Elohim.
Yeah.
You see how power and authority work together. I keep going over this power and authority thing, and I had to give you the proper definition. Yes. So this is the Moses. This is the Moses that's going to deliver the children of Israel out of Egypt. Now, BA, let's go to if you don't have anything.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
This is going pretty smooth. Let's go to verse 28. Read verses 28 to 30 of chapter 6, Exodus chapter 6.
Verse 28.
Please.
And it reads, And it came to pass on the day when the Lord spake unto Moses in the land of Egypt. Verse 29.
Yep.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, I am the Lord. Speak unto the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say unto thee. And Moses said before the Lord, Behold, I am uncircumcised lips, or I am of uncircumcised lips. And how shall Pharaoh hearken unto me?
Now, what do you think Moses meant when he says, I am of uncircumcised lips?
That can mean various things. Some people say Moses had a stuttering problem. I've also heard one of my brothers in Buffalo, he said that also could have meant that Moses just didn't have the right. He felt like maybe he wasn't the type of guy to speak. I've also heard people say that Moses is like, I'm not even worthy of speaking. So I mean, it's so many ways you can look at it.
Yeah.
I will say that much.
Yeah. I've heard also that Moses probably did not know the language.
Could have been.
Now that's because, and that's understandable if he didn't know the language, because if you're going somewhere for 60 years
And you ain't spoken.
and you haven't spoken the land that you came out of, now you're speaking the new language of the land you've been in for 60 years, it's going to be hard for you probably to know the language of the people when you go back. That could be it as well.
Yeah. And you may I may beat you to it, but
No, you go ahead.
But we also know that somebody's going to speak for Moses.
Oh.
Someone who was there.
Oh.
So there goes that madness we call speaking in tongues.
Anytime somebody speaks in a tongue or a language, there has to be an interpreter. An interpreter actually translates into the appropriate language so the people who speak that language can understand.
Exactly. And Aaron is going to be his mouthpiece. Because doesn't the Most High said, Moses, I have made you like a guide unto Pharaoh, and I've made Aaron as your prophet. And we know the prophet spoke. So Aaron is living in Egypt. He's going through the captivity. So put two and two together, that whatever Moses spoke, Aaron heard it. Pharaoh in Egypt, yada, 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 yada. And
You're
they
correct.
clearly understood.
That's right.
It wasn't I'm not going to get into that. We'll just leave it at that.
Right. Now, BA, he did actually expound on Exodus chapter 7, verse 1, and that's where I was going to go next. But that's good. That's good that you brought that out. So, in Exodus chapter 7, the Most High is still giving Moses some instructions. Pretty much Moses is doubting himself that he's going to be able to do this. And the Most High has to assure and reassures Moses that, dude, I'm the power. I control all this.
Exactly. Just do what I say.
Just do what I say. These things are going to happen. Pharaoh's going to harden his heart because I'm the power who's going to harden Pharaoh's heart. But this is all to show my power and my authority. That's what the Most High is telling and assuring Moses, right? So, I just gave you an overview of that. But let's go to Exodus chapter 7, BA.
Chapter 7, yep.
Read verses 7 to 12, please. Exodus chapter 7, verses 7 to 12.
And it reads, verse 7. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old.
So Moses was 80 years old. Aaron was 83 years old. Okay.
And when they spake unto Pharaoh, when they spake unto Pharaoh rather. And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. Verse 12.
Yep.
And they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed up the rods.
All right. Anything you want to expound on that? Bring that out.
I'll let you go ahead. You go ahead, because there could be a reason why the Most High allowed that to happen.
Allow what to happen?
Allowed the Egyptians to throw their rods down, and they became serpents.
Okay.
Could have been a reason for that, but you never know. Just I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, the Father Yahweh is about signs and miracles and wonders. The signs are for the children of Israel to know that they're dealing with the absolute power, Most High Yahweh. The wonders are for everyone else to understand. They're dealing with some power really unknown to them that they really need to know is the absolute.
Exactly.
Right? But let's see here. Let's go to all right. Read verse 13 real quick, please.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And it reads, and he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said.
All right. So pretty much Pharaoh's heart was hardened, like the Most High Yahweh said to Moses that would happen. And Pharaoh's heart, was hardened because it's like you call in your magicians, your necromancers, your sorcerers. It's like, look, I can do the same thing you do. You know what I mean? So we're not going to even think twice about this so-called power you're trying to tell us about. You know what I mean? So that's the hardening of the heart.
The trying.
Right. That's the trying of the heart. Now, so Moses is getting discouraged off of that, right? Yeah. Moses is getting discouraged. And Moses is getting discouraged, and then the Father's going to tell him something else. So please read verses 15 to, let's see.
15 to 18?
Yep.
All right. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning, lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brinks against he come, and the rod was turned to a serpent shalt now take into thy hand. And thou shalt say unto him, the Lord God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness, and behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. Thus saith the Lord, and this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in my hand the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. I'm sorry about that. 18. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river.
Read verse 19. Yeah.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying unto Aaron, take thy rod and stretch out thy hand unto the waters of Egypt, unto their streams, unto their rivers, and unto their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood.
Okay, so go ahead and read to verse 23, B.A.
Okay.
Yeah, we need some context.
Become blood, and that there may be blood through all out the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so also the Lord commanded. And he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned into blood. And the fish that was in the river died. And the river stank. And the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river. And there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Neither did he hearken unto them as the Lord he had said.
Right.
Excuse me. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house. Neither did he set his heart to this also.
Right. So Pharaoh's hardened his heart again
Hmm.
because his magicians, his sorcerers, his necromancers, enchanters did the same things. Like, yeah, you putting a stick into the water and turns to blood. Well, my people can do that as well. Watch this. So if my people can do that as well, then your power it just has no bearing on me. I mean that's not a wow factor to me, right? And
Hmm.
the thing about the Father, the Most High Yahweh, telling to meet Moses, Moses to meet Pharaoh at the river, the Nile River, was
Hmm.
because Pharaoh thought himself as a god.
Exactly.
And the Nile River, it was a very valuable resource to Egypt at that time because
Kept that money coming.
right, they had the money coming in. Egypt was pretty much at that time known as a metropolis.
Yeah.
You
It's a
know what I mean?
powerhouse, economic powerhouse.
Economic powerhouse. And so, Pharaoh was like, I'm over this Nile River. I'm this God. I'm this power. I control the water
And
in
I'm
this
gonna
Nile.
bless it.
Right.
Hmm.
I'm the one who makes sure. I'm the one who's able to make sure, the people get fed. The land is resourceful, and our people are benefiting off of that. So Pharaoh thought he was a god. He thought he was a Elohim or a power or a deity, and
Hmm.
that's why the Father Yahweh had Moses meet Pharaoh at this river.
Hmm.
Okay, so but we're gonna see in a minute. The Father's gonna show that Pharaoh, you're not a power,
Yeah.
not like me.
It's about to get turned up in a little bit.
Right. So this is called the first plague. Now, the serpent, that was a sign or a wonder, if you will.
Hmm.
A sign or a wonder just gets your attention,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
A plague is something devastating.
Hmm.
So much so, you got the fish stinking.
Hmm.
You got no cod. You don't have any what is that? What's the iron that fish gives? Uh,
Not quite sure.
I think
Dang
it's
it.
what is it? Six, some three or six. I forget what it is, but you have a certain type of vitamin that comes from fish, like cod and salmon and things of that
Hmm.
nature. Okay, the fish are stinking and they're dying. People don't have the fish to eat, right? And then the water turning to blood. Well, the Egyptians don't have any water, any H2O.
They don't have nothing to drink. They
the
ain't got no water to
yeah,
feed
no
their
sap of
animals,
life,
some
right?
oxes. And this is a society based on agriculture. So
Right,
yeah, it's starting
right.
to get bad.
Right. And so, like, I know some from a rabbinical sage historical aspect, it was said that some of the Egyptians had to ask the Israelites for water.
Hmm.
Okay, so this plague lasted seven days, right? Verse
Hmm.
25 in Exodus chapter 7, it says the plague lasted for 7 days.
Hmm.
Right? All right. All right. How we doing on timing?
Let's see. It is 2 o'clock.
Okay, so we went about 40 minutes. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So let's see here. Second plague. Let's go to Exodus chapter 8.
Hmm.
Let's go to Exodus chapter 8 and read verses 1 to 4. BA.
Exodus chapter 8,
Yep, Exodus
verses
chapter 8, verses 1 to
1
4.
through 4.
Yeah.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, and that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs.
Mhm.
And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thy bedchamber, and unto thy bed, and into into the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy ovens, and into thy netting troughs.
Mhm.
And the frogs shall come up and come up both on thee, and
Mhm.
upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. Phew.
Frogs.
Just imagine the Most High plaguing you with frogs. I couldn't imagine. Whew.
You got croaking. I mean, if they're all over you, right? They're
Warts.
warts,
Ugh.
right? Yeah, just I mean, just the sight of it, right? But of course, Pharaoh,
Yeah, this is.
Pharaoh was like, Moses, pray for me to get rid of these frogs, pretty much,
Yeah.
right? and as soon as Moses prayed, pretty much for the frogs to go away, Pharaoh went back to his
Arrogant, cocky ways.
right, his arrogant, cocky ways, and he's just like, okay, now that these there, like, I'm really not gonna repent. You know how some people do a crime and then they're praying to the Father, like, oh Lord God, help me out this crime.
Yeah,
If
please.
I won't do it no more. They just sorry because they got caught. You
Yep,
know.
exactly.
They sorry because they got caught. Now if they don't get caught, they gonna probably do it
Do it
again.
again.
And they might not change, right? So, after Moses prayed that the frogs would go away, pretty much. Verse 15. Read verse 15 of chapter 8 real quick, BA.
15.
Yep.
It reads, "But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and
Uh-huh.
hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said."
Right. So as soon as the frogs go away, he go back to, okay, I can go back to business as usual like I was doing.
Yep.
Act like ain't nothing happened.
And Moses and y'all can continue to just keep
Right.
talking and whatever.
Right.
And you got to remember too, and I'm pretty sure that Moses' confidence this time is starting to build up a little bit because the Most High also was trying him.
Correct.
And not only was he trying Moses, he was trying Aaron. He was also trying the children of Israel. Everybody, even the Egyptians, the citizens living there, everybody's being tried here.
Right.
So keep that in mind. Everyone's being tried. The Most High tries all. You have to remember that. Trying don't necessarily mean he just gonna try his enemies. He's gonna try the ones he loves as well.
Right.
So we look at it from both sides.
Right. It's a test or an examination, if you will, to see if you really love Yahweh or not.
And see if you're gonna do what he say.
That's what that testing is. That's what that proving is.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like we go back to Adam and Eve.
Uh
The Most High was trying them.
huh. Ooh-wee.
And you see the Most High stressing to Moses real quick. He said, don't worry, do what I say."
Correct.
Go to Jeremiah chapter 1 real quick. I just want to
Yeah, no, you're good.
touch bases. I don't want to spend too long, but I just want to make some points.
We're making good timing because the last chapter we got to go over is chapter 9. The last chapter we got to go over is chapter 9.
Jeremiah chapter 1. Okay.
Jeremiah chapter 1.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And this is just something that, because Jeremiah had an issue as well. And he felt that he was too young. But the Most High going to tell him something.
Come on.
And then we're going to read chapter 1. We're going to pick it up at verse 5. Verse 4. "Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out from the womb, I sanctified thee, or set you apart,
That's right.
and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
Ooh.
Then I said, Lord, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But the Lord said unto me, Say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord."
Hallelujah.
Then you go back to Moses. He said, "Same to Moses, I'm not able to speak. Just do what I tell you."
That's right.
Adam and Eve, don't eat from the knowledge of good and evil, the tree from knowledge of good and evil. If you do, you will die. Listen. It's not about the technicality of who did it. The Most High just said, don't do it. Just do what he said. It's that simple. It shouldn't be, well, he did this and no. He said to both,
That's right.
don't do it or do whatever it is I told you to do. If you just do what he say, you ain't got to worry about the technicalities of who did and who said and who didn't and who shouldn't. That's simple. But go ahead.
No, that's a great point, BA. That's a great point. So the frogs was the second plague, correct? All right. So the third plague is the gnats. So, BA, could you please read verses 16 to 18 real quick, please.
Chapter 8.
Chapter 8. Exodus chapter 8, verses 16 to 18.
Yes, and it reads, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so, for Aaron stretched out his hands with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man, and beast.
Lice on man and
Yes,
beast.
it
Lice
is.
or gnats, pretty much.
Yeah, and the King James say in.
Yep.
And in beasts. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So there were lice upon man and upon beast. So you just imagine lice being a plague on the enemies of the Most High. That's got to be some type of situation. I couldn't imagine. Couldn't imagine. Ah, boy.
Right. Now, this is the thing about it. The magicians, they try to do the same thing as striking the dust, trying to get it to turn to lice.
Mhm.
But they could not do that. So, read verse 19 of what they said, B.A.
Then the magician said unto Pharaoh,
Mm-hmm.
This is the finger of God, or Elohim, or Yahweh. And the Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said.
Now, I want to make a point here about the magicians calling it, oh, it's the finger of Elohim. What they were trying to do was downplay the power. You know how somebody, they try to do something, and when they can't do it, they try to downplay the person who can do it. Oh, that ain't nothing. That's just a little finger. You know what I mean? That's what the magicians were implying here. Oh, it's just a finger. Because remember, over in Exodus 6, the Father said, I'm going to bring you out with a mighty arm.
Yeah, mighty arm, not the finger. Arm.
Right. So the magicians were trying to make light of the situation. They didn't want to. They didn't want to just take the L, as we call it today, take the loss and be like, yo, we can't do that. No, they had to try to downplay somebody like, oh, that's just your little finger doing that. That ain't really
that's
nothing.
mine. That's nothing.
Yes, nothing.
But you still can't make the lights
but
go
you still
away.
can't make the light. Right.
Exactly. And you're suffering, aren't you?
Right. Right. So we know that Pharaoh, he hardened his heart. He not even listening, pay attention. He not even paying Moses, Aaron any mind. He like, yeah, forget about it. All right. So, verses 19 to 23. Let's see something right here. And I know we're reading a lot of scripture, but this is great for context because this is going to lead into something of Exodus chapter 9 that's very important to us Israelites, as Hebrews. So, B.A., please go ahead and read verses 20 to 23.
And it reads, And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand up before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water. And say unto him, Thus saith Yahweh, Let my people go, that they may serve me.
That's right.
Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and into the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will serve in that day the land of Goshen. And
Hold up, read that again.
And I will serve.
Sever.
I'm sorry. And I will
And
sever in that day the land of Goshen. So now he's gonna make a separation.
a distinction between Israelites
and
the
Egyptians.
That's right.
In which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am Yahweh in the midst of the earth.
Right, verse 23.
23. And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be.
All right, so we got a question here. So how could anyone believe in idol gods? What made Pharaoh believe in an idol?
I would say this. This is the Egyptians. This is their culture. They didn't know this God.
They didn't know the Most High Yahweh.
So the thing is that what Egypt knew was their own culture and their own traditions. It was commonly known in Egypt that their gods, they had various gods, and their actual human male rulers were also God and king as well. So this is why the Egyptians, to them, they're still having a hard time with this, because they're like, well, we got gods too, and we can do this, and our Pharaoh, he's a god, he's divine as well. So this is why they're still putting up a piss fit. They're like, what's going on here? Like, we're Egypt, we're a great empire. We make all this money. We built the pyramids. We did all this.
We got all this education.
And then this,
we got all
this knowledge and the encyclopedias and the dictionaries, because we understand historically that's true.
Yeah.
The Egyptians had this dictionaries and encyclopedias.
They had some knowledge.
Yeah, they had their, and it says in the book of Kings that the nations outside of Israel had their knowledge. So, and another thing, and we got this dude that comes out of nowhere by the name of Moses. Some guy come out the desert out of nowhere with a stick, who don't even speak our language, all by himself, and he didn't come in here and he's whooping on us, and we got armies.
Right.
And this one guy and this
Right.
one individual that's talking for him, they're using a rod and a stick. And they're like, hold up.
We got rods and sticks too.
And we got bow and arrows and weaponry.
Right.
But this one man,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's bothering him right now.
Mhm.
You don't think that a lot of people want to run up on Moses? You don't think that Pharaoh has some killers on the payroll? Like, man, let me take them out. Do you think that you don't think? I mean, we know everything wasn't written, but you don't think Moses had some issues with a few people trying to run up on him and do something to him?
That's a good point, BA.
You gotta think of that. That's how I try to tell people. Stop. Think logically. When you think about when you are on this religious escapade, you're not gonna think of logic. Think about it. Pharaoh is in the land of his enemies. And these men are looking at him and they probably got knives all like, I'm going to kill this cat right now. You just don't know. I mean, you don't think Moses was tried? Think about it. Think about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, somebody can believe in an idol god because if you got big houses, if you got nice chariots, if you got nice clothes, if you eating the finest meal, wearing the finest jewelry, you think that the power that's you think that the things that you have, the materials you have, are provided by a power enough for you. You know what I mean? That's probably what makes people believe in idol Elohims or idol powers or idol gods. You know what I mean? Like, I got this stuff already. So it could be in somebody's mind, hey, I was able to accumulate this stuff. If I wasn't able to accumulate this stuff, how you calling my deity powerless? Because if my deity was powerless, I wouldn't have all these finer things in life. I wouldn't have all these diamonds and studs and chains and rings and things. You know, that's how some people think a lot. And that's how some people just like, dude, why should I believe in your God? Because this is what I talk about with BA a lot. If I'm looking at the next person, right? If I'm looking at Susie and John over here, they driving a Maserati, right? If their children are going to Harvard and Yale, right? If they eating steak every other night, you know, if Susie and John were speaking to you about things about a deity or a power, you would listen to them, right? Why would you listen to them? Because it seems like from their actions, conduct, behavior, and the lifestyle that they live, that
everything's all good.
Everything's all good. You see what I mean? Now, us not knowing, they might have got that lifestyle from IDOL gods. You see what I mean? Because the adversary give out blessings too. People don't understand.
Yeah, he does.
You see what I'm saying? So that's how sometimes people can probably believe in idol gods or in another power other than the Most High Yahweh Elohim, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what I'll say.
And we have to also remember too that this is a whole nother nation of people. The Egyptians, they had their own culture.
Yeah.
So and we know back in this time that the nations had their own knowledge, like I said earlier. So the Egyptians they're not going to be so willing to just tap out to this God
because of their experiences.
And what they dealing with their own culture.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, that's another thing, culture, because we have a lot of people who call themselves believers in the Most High, and then they read this and lack understanding of the culture.
Because we've been Hellenized over into this westernized Greco-Roman borrowed society.
Exactly. A lot of our brothers and sisters come into knowing their Hebrew.
Yep.
And then they go on this black supremacy thing. No, that's the way. That is the doctrine of the imperialists and the nations. The Most High did not reveal that.
Come on.
A lot of us gonna have to answer for a lot of things we speak on and what we talk about. I'm serious. The way that we go about talking about other nations of people, I don't have to say, we know how the brothers get down. This superiority complex, this challenging people because they say a name, this challenging this person because I keep Torah better than you, because I do this better. We're going to have to answer for that. The more we continue to do these things, the more of a stumbling block we be. And the Most High said it himself through Christ. Woe on you that you turn people away. Woe on you. And woe means destruction. So before you get to casting stones at people, check yourself.
That's right.
Go ahead, sis.
So in verse 22 of Exodus chapter 8, the Father says he makes a distinction between his people and the Egyptians. Now the Israelites lived in Goshen. Okay, Israelites lived in Goshen. Now you can see that the first three plagues they they uh they impacted everybody. Now here's where the distinction starts, right?
Set
And
apart.
it's the right.
Set
The
apart.
Father showing you He's set apart,
Set apart.
holy.
Wow. Set apart. Keep going.
Yeah, this is beautiful. So, um, read verses let's see, read verses 23 to 20. Actually,
Verse chapter 8.
no,
Or,
let's see. Yeah, Exodus chapter 8.
yep.
Read verse 24.
Exodus chapter 8, and we're
Mhm.
going to pick up at verse 24.
Uh-huh.
And all the Egyptians dug round about the river, so as to drink water, for they could not drink water from the. Oh, I'm sorry.
Exodus chapter 8, verse
Yeah,
verse
I'm
24.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm in this.
It's all good. That's
Okay.
Septuagint, huh?
Yeah, it's numbered totally,
Totally
different.
different. Yeah.
Let me just go back to this
Yep.
for the second time. You said 23, right?
24. Mhm.
And the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into
Uh-huh.
the house of Pharaoh, and into the servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. And the land was corrupted by reason of swarm of flies. Oh,
Right. So you got flies coming. Flies, right? They, cause they come into your house.
I get
They're
irritated
swarming
just a
all
few
on
of
you.
them.
Right. Just a few of them. I mean, the whole land was covered with flies. You probably got them laying eggs and larvae and all that
Ah,
stuff, right? Buzzing all in your ear. You know what I mean? What else? What else was the flies can do? Flies can
bacteria.
They can ruin crops as well.
Yes, they can.
And they ruin the crops. They ruin your sustenance for your body system to eat.
And remember, they're in Africa.
Woo wee.
The humidity must be. Whew.
Right.
This is around the spring that we would say, right?
Correct.
So just
Good point,
imagine
BA.
it's warm outside.
Come on.
The humidity.
The flies coming in.
The water was turning to blood. And you know
Mhm.
when it's hot, heat rises, the smell rises. Ooh, and it's the most high doing it. So it's intensified. Then the frogs came. And then the flies. Everything is 10 times 10 times 10 because the Most High wants his people to be free. And the more that Pharaoh turns his heart, the more the Most High is going to make the plagues worse and worse and worse.
Correct. So I'm not gonna have BA read the rest of chapter 8, but pretty much at this point, when the flies are coming in, they're disrupting the activities of the Egyptians pretty much. So Yahweh, excuse me, not Yahweh. Pharaoh is going to say to Moses again, hey, you know what? Pray for me that these flies go away, and I'll let your people go tomorrow so they can go slaughter or sacrifice to your Elohim. Just don't go too far, but just pray for me so that these flies can go away, right? And when the flies went away, Pharaoh hardened his heart again and did not let the people go. So that's what we call reneging. He not
Keeping his word.
keeping his word or his promises, right? Okay. Now, we're going to end it out here with Exodus chapter 9, and we're going to bring out some very important points from Exodus chapter 9. We got about, I think, hopefully about half an hour left, so thank you all for bearing with us up to this point, all right?
All right.
Very good analogy. Oh, you're welcome, Sister Denise.
That's my mom.
All right. Moms! All right, so, BA,
Yes.
let us read. Let's see. We're gonna read a lot of Exodus chapter 9. Because this is very important. Exodus chapter 9. Read verses 1 to 1 to 6, please.
1 through 6,
Yep.
Exodus chapter 9. Listen to Septuagint. And the Lord said unto Moses, go into Pharaoh, Go into Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, These things saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Send my people away that they may serve me.
Mhm.
If, however, thou wilt not send my people away, but yet detainest them, behold, the hand of the Lord shall be upon thy cattle in the fields,
Mm.
both on the horses and on the asses and on the camels and the
Mhm.
oxen and sheep, a very great morality. Okay,
Great.
morality, it says.
Okay, well here it says a grievous pestilence.
Yeah, and then here it's in the King James. It says it be a very grievous murrain.
You're right.
All right, so let's keep going.
Mhm.
And I will make a marvelous distinction in that time
Uh
between
huh.
the cattle of the Egyptians and the
That's right.
cattle of the children of Israel.
Right.
Nothing shall die of all that is of the children of Israel.
Mhm.
And God fixed a limit, saying, Tomorrow the Lord will do this thing on the land.
Mm.
And the Lord did this thing on the next day, and all the cattle of the Egyptians died. But the cattle of the children of Israel, there died not one.
Right. So what's your cattle, BA? Your meat.
Meat, your labor force.
Your meat and your labor force.
Yeah, they help with
Ooh-wee.
plowing that ground,
Come on.
growing them crops. It's really finna get sticky now, cause now all of a sudden, what the Most High is doing, he's attacking the economic structure of Egypt. He's taking down the empire. What made Egypt great? The slave class, the peasants, the proletariat, as we would say. Then you have the tools they use.
Come on.
The animals.
Mhm.
Then, but before the animals needed water.
Mhm.
Water was turned to blood.
Mhm.
And no telling how many of them died. And it went for 7 days. Just imagine how many they lost within that 7 day period.
Now
And
this is one day.
yeah, this is one day. This is a new plague now. He actually attacking the meat now. He actually attacking the things that the Egyptians have used to become a powerful force.
Also, he attacked what the Egyptians worshipped. They worshipped animals.
Yes, they did.
And we can understand why they worshipped the animals, right? Because the
Yeah.
animals fed them,
Yep.
right? The animals gave them means of productivity, right? The tools,
Exactly. Money.
right? They worshipped the animals.
And the slaves use them as well.
They worship
make
the
their
animals as
profit.
deities too. That's why you see, like, you know, in the writings on the pyramids, the Egyptian walls, you see a lot of different type of animals. You know, they had a different type of animal represented as a deity or element of a power, right? And they detested sheep. And you know, Israel were what?
Known as
Sheep herders,
sheep
shepherds.
herders.
Right. That's why they were in Goshen. That's why Israel was in Goshen.
Mm.
Right? Right. So that's the fifth plague. Right? That's a beautiful thing. So it's a beautiful thing that the Father makes a distinction. And this is very important.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we do what we do as Israelites,
Mm-hmm.
because we're distinct. And we have to show we're distinct by our action, behavior, and conduct. Our action, behavior, and conduct shows the power, deity, or God that we worship and serve. Worship is serve. Serve is worship. Worship is an everyday thing. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree.
It goes from, it not only goes from what you wear to what you eat, but how you behave, how you think,
How you talk, how you walk.
how you treat your neighbor.
Exactly.
Come on.
Now, I will say this. Do you think that Moses, he went back to Egypt, a place where he was raised up at, knew the traditions, well schooled in the education system of Egypt and all that?
Right.
Do you think that Moses actually went back into Egypt and partook in the traditions of the feudal lords of Egypt?
Mm.
So, with that being said, as Israelites or even Christians that are Christians and believers who actually follow the book,
Mm-hmm.
are we supposed to be doing these traditions of the nations of the world as well?
Come on.
Do you think the Most High would have, if Moses would have went back into Egypt and jumped on and started keeping those traditions, the Most High probably would have killed them on the spot, or would have chastised them very, very tough. I mean, he would have probably went in on Moses. So Moses had to be set apart.
Come on.
You don't think Moses was? You don't think people tried to see what was Moses all about? Hey Moses, come over here, man, and do this over here, man. Nah.
Come on.
He had to be set apart. He had a mission.
That's right.
Had a purpose.
That's right.
So, as believers in the Most High, whatever we personify ourselves to be,
Uh-huh.
we are not to do the traditions of the world.
Come on.
We're not to. We are to separate ourselves from it,
Mm-hmm.
even if that means separating ourselves from our families.
Mm.
It's that simple. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow with a lot of people, but this is the Most High. You either gonna choose him or man.
Mm.
Take your pick.
And it started with Abraham.
He had to leave his father's house.
That's why Abraham is called the father of our faith.
Faith. He left his father's house. Do you think the Most High would have made Abraham special if he would have stayed in his father's house? No. Jacob and Esau. Family. Brothers. Think about it, people.
Mm.
This, I don't want to keep going, but I just have to stress it. So when we say leave the family, that's exactly what it means. If you want eternal life, it may take that.
Choose ye this day whom you're going to serve. This is a costly faith. This is a costly walk. And Messiah did stress and reiterate that.
He was a vagabond. He didn't have a home.
Yeah.
He didn't have a nice car. He had nothing.
Man.
But we have Christendom teaching people you're not blessed if you ain't got a nice house.
Mm.
That's not the doctrine of Christ.
Mm.
That's not what the Most High laid out in the scriptures.
Mm.
Remember that.
Let's continue. Exodus 9. Now what we're going to do is we're going to read verses 8 to 12.
Verse 8, and it reads from the Septuagint.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, take you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses scatter it toward heaven before Pharaoh and before his servants, and let it become dust all over the land of Egypt, and there shall be upon men and upon beasts sore blains, breaking forth both on men and on beasts in all the land of Egypt. So he took of the ashes of the furnace before Pharaoh, and Moses scattered it toward heaven, and it became sore blains, breaking forth both on men and on beasts. Now, men, that means women as well.
Correct.
It was just one of the men being afflicted here.
That means mankind.
Yes, mankind, human beings. So let's stop at this. Oh, well, it just happened to the men. So, no, the women got it too.
We can show it to you in the Hebrew too.
Yeah,
Don't even trip.
for those who
I can do that right now, but go ahead. Yeah, while you're doing that.
If for those who have this thing with these translations we're reading, the translations are good, but they're only going to take you so far. We're not saying you got to learn Hebrew, but if you're going to use a King James, this is a tool. Learn how to use it. That's not a strike against nobody. I'm just saying for everybody. Learn how to use it. You got to do some work reading the King James only. If you're going to be bound by King James, make sure you have the tools to help you read it, because the King James is not writer friendly, it's translator friendly. The translators have butchered the original language. Keep that in mind, because a lot of doctrine come out of King James that does not add up with what the Most High and the prophets have spoke. Keep going to what verse?
Read verse 11 as well.
Verse 11. And the sorcerers could not stand before Moses because of the sores, for the sores were on the sorcerers and in all the land of the Egyptians. Notice them servants of Egypt, them necromancers and all them magicians, they getting hit too. Right? And the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he hardened not to them as the Lord appointed. And the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, these things saith the Lord of the God of the Hebrews, send away my people that they may serve me. Read 14.
You can stop right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted you to go to verse 11, but over here, you can see in the screen where I have the Bible Hub app up. It says why he Shaheen, what is that? A Bible source Foreach Be'adam. So sores coming forth or breaking out on man. Now you click here, it says on man.
Adamba says
Be'adam. On man Be'adam. Let's see. I wanted to give me the Strongs. Let's see. Hold on.
Right there, Strong's right there.
No, my mouse is really tripping. Let's see. -6 Strongs. It's okay.
English concordance.
I'm trying to give me the meaning, not how many times is
Used,
given.
yeah.
Okay. Ah,
There it
okay.
is.
Okay, in the NAS in Jeremiah, what, 17 and 17 and 5. This shows us the Strong's Concordance of how many times the word is used and where the word is used, and in what context. So, Be'adam in Jeremiah 17 and 5, you can see here, it says, who trusts in mankind and makes flesh. So we know that man, in that context, in Exodus chapter 9, verse 10, we know it means mankind.
Exactly.
Because it's going to be on mankind and beasts. And mankind consists of male and female,
Women and children.
women and children, right? Man and woman, right? So that's why we stress that, even to start off basically with the Hebraic understanding, it's good to go back and use these tools, such as the Strong's Concordance, because it's going to give you the proper definition, and also, the lexicons like the Brown, Driver, and Briggs, and I also use Liddell Scott's for the Greek, because that's like proper first century AD definition of the Greek word. So
And there's another Greek lexicon that's a pretty good one as well.
Right.
These are tools that the Most High has provided for us to use.
Right.
Let's use them instead of being high on doctrine.
Right. All right. Okay. So, let's see here. Okay, cool. Exodus 9. Exodus 9. Okay, so you had started reading it, but we're going to go to another portion of Exodus 9 where we're going to bring out something here that's very significant.
Okay.
Read verses okay, so read verses 13 all the way read verses 13 to 18.
All right.
Mhm.
And it reads, And the Lord said to Moses, Rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, These things saith the Lord of the Hebrews, Send away my people, that they may serve me.
Mhm.
And for at this present time do I send forth all my plagues into thy heart, and the heart of thy servants, and of thy people. And thou mayest know that there is not another such as I in all the earth.
Mhm.
And he says that throughout the prophets as well.
Correct.
For now I will stretch forth my hand and smite thee and kill thy people, and thou shalt be consumed from off the earth.
All right, let me pause you right there. So right now, the Most High Yahweh Elohim is saying right here, he's going to show publicly, announcing his authority.
Yeah.
Publicly. It's going to be a grandeur event.
It's going to get turned up now. It's really going to get hot.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So he's now proclaiming his authority. So he's going to show you power and authority.
I thought God loved everybody. Verse 15.
Verse 16.
I'm sorry, verse
Yep.
16.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, And for this purpose hast thou been preserved,
Mm-hmm.
that I might display in thee my strength. My strength.
The power.
And that my name might be published in all the earth.
And the authority. So
Yeah.
that's what he's going to show you, like I just said, the power and the authority. They're different, but they work together.
And beneath the surface, Yahweh. When Yahweh is being presented,
Correct.
the power and the actions. Things are happening. Remember that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm sorry.
Verse 17.
Verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Doest thou then yet exert thyself to hinder my people, so as not to let them go? Behold, tomorrow at this hour I will rain a very great hail, such as has not been in Egypt from the time it was created until this day.
Right.
Whew.
So it's gonna be some hail coming down. That means any livestock you got outside, you need to bring them
It's
on
finna
in.
get torn up.
Right? You're gonna bring them on in. Right? So anybody who feared the Most High Yahweh, what they do? They put their
Yeah,
livestock up.
yeah, because they understand what's finna happen.
What do you think the Egyptians did? Any livestock that didn't get any livestock that didn't get destroyed, right? In the fifth plague, that hell's gonna come down, right?
Mm, 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 mm.
Okay.
Verse 19.
No, we're gonna skip a little bit.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Read verses
22.
22 to 26.
Verse 22 in Exodus chapter 9.
Mhm.
And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out thy hand to heaven, and there shall be hail on all the land of Egypt, both on men and on the cattle, human beings and the animals.
That's right.
Right? And on all the herbage of the land.
All
That
the
means
plants.
Plants.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's going to tear everything up. And Moses stretched out his hand to heaven, and the Lord sent thunderings and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail on all the land of Egypt.
Pause right there real quick, BA. You got hail coming down and fire.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Hail is hardened
Rocks.
H2O,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Rocks.
Fire.
Fire. Yeah.
How can
Water.
coincide with the fire? How can the hail not put out the fire?
We're dealing with a powerful God here. And then people going to tell us that Joseph is Christ's father. You got to be kidding me.
Mhm.
How is it that we can sit here and know that the Most High could do all these miracles, but for some reason we have a problem with the Most High sending his son through a woman untouched? He can't do that. But he can make fire come out of water.
And he can make fire not go out because of this water.
Come on. And he can form a person out of the ground. But he just can't make a woman pregnant just because. Come. Nothing.
All right, so continue to read BA until verse 26. Keep going.
26.
Yeah, so read verses 24, 25, and 26, please.
24. So there was hail and flaming fire mingled with hail, and the hail was very great. Such was not in Egypt for the time there was a nation upon it. And the hail smote in all the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And the hail smote all the grass in the field, and the hail broke in pieces all the trees in the field. Only in the land of Jesum or
Goshen.
Yeah, it says Jesum here.
Okay.
Where the children of Israel, where the hail was not.
Right.
Wow, separation.
Separation. The Father made it known that there was always a separation or a distinction between his people and everybody else. Correct?
Set apart.
All right. So, at this time, Pharaoh, and we're wrapping up. Pharaoh, what did he do? Read verses 27 to 30. Yeah.
27. And Pharaoh sent and called Moses and Aaron and said to them, I have sinned this time, and the Lord is righteous, or Yahweh is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Pray then for me to the Lord, and let him cause the thunderings of God to cease.
Let him cause the thunder to cease, right?
No
and
more.
hail, right?
Yep. And the hail and the fire, and I will send you forth, and ye shall remain no longer. And Moses said to him, when I shall have departed from the city, I will stretch out my hands to the Lord, and the thundering shall cease, and the hail and the rain shall be no longer, that thou mayest know that the earth is the Lord's. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye have not yet feared the Lord.
Right. So pause right there. Moses already knew. Your words is just a bunch of talk. You're talking loud. You're not saying nothing. Your heart is not there. Your lips is moving, but your heart is speaking. And we know out of the abundance of the heart does the mouth speak.
Yep. Christ said that too.
Right. So you can say I'm going to do this, but people can see your heart past your talking.
Yeah.
right? And the fear. Moses said, I know you don't fear. What
Mm-mm.
does that fear mean, BA? It means reverence or
And
respect.
respect. You don't respect it. You don't respect this power and this authority. You don't respect it.
We know you don't.
So we're gonna have to try you a little bit more.
Correct. Now that was the seventh plague. The seventh plague was the hail, the thunder, and the fire.
Mm-mm.
Right. Now I want to close this out, BA, if you will, with verses 31 and 32. This is very, very important. Verses 31 and 32.
And it reads,
Mm-hmm.
and the flax and the barley were smitten, and the barley was advanced, and the flax was seeding.
All right. It says the barley was advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's from the Septuagint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Read from the KJV. It says the barley was what now?
It's reading the KJV, and it reads.
It says the flax and the barley were struck, right? It says they were hit, they were
I said
smite,
30,
right?
31, right?
Yeah. Read verses 31 and 32, but read 31. We're gonna.
And the flax and the barley was smitten.
It was smitten,
For the
right?
barley was in the ear, and the flax was bald, right?
Right. So the flax was in the stalk. Now,
Yeah.
in the KJV, it says it was in the head, right?
Mhm.
In the Septuagint, it said what now? It said the barley was what?
The barley was, hold on, I lost my place.
No problem.
Was seeding. Hold on, I'm sorry. 31, and the flax and the barley were smitten, for the barley was advanced.
Advanced. Now, advanced, that means the head. The head is advanced. What do we mean by that? It was ripe. When something's ripe, it's ready. It's ready. That's called abib in the Hebrew. That word abib. It's ripe. It's ready. It's in the head. Now, people
What time
say
of year is that?
abib or ripeness or readiness of the barley starts Passover. It actually starts the month of the month of the ripeness of the barley. That's pretty much what it's called. The month of Abib is the ripeness or readiness or the advancement of the barley. So when people say, Shanti, how are we to determine the beginning month of the Hebrew calendar?
Check outside.
People say, well, I don't need to look to Jerusalem. Well, there's people over there in the land of Israel right now, and I know people think that's the fake Israel. But the thing is, the springtime.
Yeah.
Things are ripe, things are ready, things are blooming,
Things are
things
alive.
are blossoming. Right? So that moon, if that moon of the month comes, right? Like if you're at the 11th or 12th month, I forget exactly what it is, but if you're knowing you're at the end of the months of the Hebrew calendar, you look for the moon, right? You look for the new moon, that first sliver, right? By that first sliver, if that barley is not advanced or ripe, then it's not the month of Abib.
Like right now. It's not the month of Abib. Everything is dead.
Correct. It's not the month of Abib. It's not the month of ripeness. It's not the month of the barley being advanced and ready to be put into the sickle. And we know the sickle because y'all know BA got the picture right with the hammer and the sickle. Well, the sickle is like a handle with like a little hook, right? And that hook is the blade. So you have to have enough to put in that blade, and you have to have that crop ripe enough for that blade to cut.
Labor.
Right, because that crop has to be softened enough for it to be allowed to be cut. So you have to look for the barley.
Does that line up with what
Right.
Christ has said?
Come on, man. So so read verse 31 and 32 again.
31 and 32.
Mhm.
And the flax and the barley was smitten,
Mhm.
for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bald. Right? 32.
Was in the bud. Ball.
But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, For they were not grown up.
They were late crops.
Hmm. Wow. Keep going.
Right. So I want to wrap this up with that. This is how we understand the children of Israel, right? We're leaving in the month of Abib, and this is how to tell when the month of Abib starts, right? So let me pull something up real quick here. This is called Lunar Phase app I have on my phone. Hopefully it comes up. My phone is really tripping right
Yeah,
now.
I'm trying to send the lesson out to people. My phone tripping too.
Okay, so let me see the lunar phase. So this year, the 14th day of the month of Abib, of course, is Passover, right? So let me show something here. Lunar phase is this app I have, and I'm gonna take the next 3 minutes before we close out. And this lines up with Exodus chapter 9, verses 31 to 32. All right. So let me pull up. Okay, so we're in the month of January right now, but whoops. All right. Now, this year, the new moon. Let me see. Okay. 14, so 14. Uh-huh. Okay. So the 14th day of the month of Abib is going to start March the 30th. And the reason why I say that is because you have that new moon coming pretty much what is that? 16th or the 17th? The 16th or the 17th. I'm seeing the sliver here. It's just this is app I'm using here. It's called Lunar Phase, and pretty much it'll help you out a whole lot, right? So when you start to see that, when you start to see around the new moon, when that 29th or 30th day has passed, you look for the new moon around when you know we're coming into springtime, right? Some people say, oh, the equinox. Well, the equinox does not always guarantee the correct date of the month of Abib. The month of Abib means when the barley is ripe. Now, the people over in Jerusalem, Israel, right? They always looking for the barley to be at its ripeness, right? So they go out and they start looking around, the end of the month of the end of the month. And sometimes the month of Abib could start in March. Sometimes it could start in April. You have to start paying attention to the months as they go by and the days as they go by. So, sometimes people say, well, we have 13 months in the year. Sometimes we say 12. Sometimes people say, well, why are there like an extra month of 13 months in a year? Well, that's because, 360 days, if you're going off of the moon, if you're going off the lunar cycle, which we do, right? Which we do as Hebrews, and I'll talk about that later. But you tend to lose every year 10 days. So if you're losing 10 days of time or days every year, after 3 years, you done lost about what? 30 days. What's 30 days? A month.
A month.
So it seems like that 13th month is an added month. However, that 13th month every 3 years, it's not an added month. It's a month pretty much to catch up because you still have to have your 360 days to make up a year.
Exactly.
Okay. So this year, at the waning of the winter season, you start to look for those crops. You start to look for the barley, seeing if it's ripe and in the head.
Certain
right,
fruits
and you have
and vegetables or whatever it may be.
Correct.
Crops, yeah.
Right, and you have to look at the moon. You have to look at the moon and the lighting of the moon. Whether it's half full, a third full, and then waning back off, meaning there's less of the moon showing. You have to pay attention to things like that. Now, it took me a couple of years to understand this whole little cycle. That's why I don't expect everybody to get it. That's why Israel, we we tend to come into doing the feast days and we're kind of off. All of us are not following the same time frame and things like that.
Yeah.
But what I say is this: I don't know if we even have it correct. What I'm gonna say is that the Father sees our heart and He sees us making an effort of trying to get it right. We're no longer following the idolatrous holidays. We're now doing, the feast days. And so I think the Father pays attention to the efforts and the trying we're implementing and keeping the feast days to the best of our ability, to the best of our knowledge we have here.
Yep.
So if you want to put lunar phase on your phone, it's a free app. I did a video. I did a video a couple of years ago on another channel under Ashanti Belton. Don't tell my husband I said Belton, but that's what it's called, Ashanti Belton, because I'm Ashanti Woods now, right? So.
And every now and then I still slip and say Ashanti Belton, but she like, yeah, it's Woods now. I keep forgetting.
So looking at the ripeness of the barley is very important. I know a lot of people have questions about that, so they always want to go off of a calendar and numbers, but you have to implement it all. You have to implement the moon. You have to implement calculations, especially when you're dealing with numbers, and you also have to implement agriculture. Okay, so with that being said, man, we made good time, and we went 3 minutes over. I probably went 3 minutes over just explaining, the month of Abib and how we see when the month of Abib actually starts. But hope you were edified. We're definitely going to get more into the Torah portion. We just, we have this give you these bits and pieces and morsels of the build up to how the children of Israel went through the Exodus and how we began to be a nation called out, and how we began at the beginning phases of us getting the Torah, or the teachings, instructions, and commandments of the Most High Yahweh, how we became His bride, and He became our Elohim, our power, our husband. All right, so I hope what was said was edifying. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, the comment section, I'll go ahead and open. Of course, you probably seen scrolling brother BA and I email and Facebook pages and things of that nature. So with that being said, I hope I was a blessing. I hope the Father was able to use me as a vessel truly and sincerely to bring out a righteous understanding of His word. But always, please, go back and verify, validate everything I say.
Exactly.
Right? Because I'm just a vessel. Right? I can have something incorrect. I have to go back to myself. I have to go back for myself too. But validate and verify everything I say. And just may the Most High be with you to give you some knowledge and understanding and the wisdom to be able to apply, know when to apply and how to apply. B.A.?
All I can say is thank the Most High in the name of His anointed, the Messiah known as Christ, for bringing us together again. And hopefully that you guys are able to glean and learn from this. Like I said, like Sis was just saying, go back and do the research yourself. We're all supposed to study to show ourselves approved.
Hallelujah.
Just don't take our word for it. It's not our job to make you believe.
That's right.
You got to go back and do the work yourself.
That's right.
And with that, I yield.
I want to say shalom, shalom, we'berachot mishpacha v'habarim. That means peace, wellness, wholeness, and completeness to our family and friends out there. We hope you have a great and blessed rest of your Shabbat. Thanks for joining in from Sister Ashanti, Brother B.A.
Shalom.